Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua Ba'ashem Rakakadash, and double honors to the apostles and others, great milestone, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother, I'm Noah Allah from Gemma, Chicago, and coming back with you with another lesson, and going into the news, and I was reading this quick article. It says Americans are giving up looking for jobs, all right, and it was published not too long ago, and basically, I'm just gonna read a quick glimpse on it. But yeah, you got Trump on the news, or he's been saying that the economy has been doing better than ever than we have ever have experienced, or you'll hear a bunch of lies on the mainstream media, but really, a lot of these Americans are actually out of a job. All right, and it's only going to get worse because now we're in an energy crisis, and a lot of these major big companies and shit, they're now consolidating, and consolidation is basically where companies or CEOs or owners of a company, they'll use a small amount of employees to finish up on a boatload of tasks. All right, um, basically overworking them to do more with less employees. All right, and a lot of these companies are consolidating because they gotta pay off their debt. All right, but really, overall in reality, all right, this economy is going downhill. All right, um, people can barely make six figures anymore. All right, because the value of the U.S. dollar is dying. What says America's employment rate is holding relatively steady at 4.2%, but the week's Newsweek analysis found a number of Americans who are giving up looking for jobs because they're discouraged about finding one is higher than it was at the beginning of the year, which economists say may be masking a looming problem in the labor market. The June jobs report some eyebrow-raising data, especially a big drop in the labor force. Heather Long, chief economist at a federal credit union, told Newsweek, adding the caveat that 1 month doesn't make a trend. A key concern is the rising number of Americans who have stopped actively searching for work and therefore are no longer counted as unemployed. Economists say an increased discouraged and marginally attached workers often signal weakening labor demand and suggest that labor market may be softer than headline employment figures indicate. And that's right, according to prophecy in the scriptures, all right, the granting is ceasing, all right, there'll be no work for Egypt, all right, which means, there won't be any work for America, all right, because now you got AI taking over, now you got companies that are consolidating, all right. Let's search up that word real quick, consolidating. All right, consolidating. It is completely. What the fuck? Where is it at? Consolidating. Consolidating refers to the process of combining multiple separate entities or items or obligations into a multiple separate entities, obligations into a single unified whole. This approach is widely used to streamline management, improve efficiency, and reduce complexities across the personal finance, corporate structures, and academic administrations. These are the key applications. Fuck. Console. Yeah, when corporate executives or store owners talk about consolidating the workplace, it is almost always a strategic to cut costs and squeeze more financial efficiency out of the business. Reducing labor costs. Labor is typically the largest flexible expense a business has. By consolidating roles, a company can combine two or three jobs titles into a single, broader positions. This allows them to eliminate vacant positions, lay off staff, or cut total schedule hours while expecting remaining employees to pick up the slack, saving the company significant money on wages and benefits. And this is what they do. All right, a lot of these companies they do this now. All right, which is now it's also harder, to get a job. All right, because they're trying to profit their own selves off of your work. All right. It says elimination of duplicated tasks. Management often looks at different departments or shifts or searches for overlapping duties. If the afternoon shift and the evening shift both spend time doing inventory or deep cleaning, corporate may consolidate those duties into a single shift. They do this to keep employees constantly active during every minute of their paid time. But you do extra work, all right, you're still getting paid the same shit. You come home and you feel all worn out, barely any energy to do crap. All right, and especially now since the cost of living is even worse. All right, you got some people having to work two or three jobs just to keep up with their bills. All right, just to keep up with the rent. All right, to get by in their day to day lives. All right, so it's a financial squeeze out here. It's fucked up. Grinding season. Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow down themselves, and the ground cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. And that's right. That's what you see happening here gradually in America. All right, the grinding is ceasing. All right, AI is taking over. People are getting laid off. All right, companies are consolidating. All right, less employees doing more tasks and getting underpaid. All right. It says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. And that's right, there's soon going to be a scarcity of jobs here in America. But that's beautiful because, this place is hell. No work for Isaiah 19:14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to earn every work. Therefore, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And yeah, there's a perverse spirit in here in America. All right, a lot of these people are bugged the fuck out. All right, um, a lot of them. All right, they sorry, to catching my breath. A lot of them they find other methods of trying to get by in the society, and there's a lot of wickedness going on here in America. All right, it says, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, and as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And yeah, America is erring. All right, America is failing. All right, there's a lot of homelessness. There's a lot of people who are unemployed. All right, you got major businesses shutting down, like Spirit Airlines. All right, Spirit Airlines, not too long ago, I think a month ago, they had laid off 17,000 workers, all right, in just one day. Verse 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And that's right. You know, there's going to be barely any work here in America. All right. A lot of, you already saw the, well, we just read an article, all right. A lot of Americans are losing hope in finding a job. It says, in that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman, it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. And yeah, you know, the Lord is visiting this world which he made, all right, by the way, by these, you know, these earthquakes or these famines, they're hitting certain parts and they're going to increase. All right, the plagues, the pestilences. All right. You know, shit's about to get fucked up out here. But here it says, according to back to the article, it says, according to the recent labor force data, roughly 1.83 million workers were classified as marginally attached to the labor force in June, including about 400, probably the number is higher than that, 500,000 discouraged workers who said they have stopped looking because they believed no jobs were available for them. Marginally attached workers are taken out of the labor force participation, meaning they aren't included in the unemployment rate. That's because the unemployment rate only measures people who are out of work and actively looking for a job, and marginally attached workers have stopped applying to new jobs. It's tough to square the shockingly low job creation in June with a lower employment rate. But this is what you're going to hear more constantly on the news, all right? And you're going to hear about the unemployment rate is only going to increase, all right? People being out of a job, all right? People, a lot of homelessness, all right? A lot of, unemployment, all right? In these latter days, you're going to hear a lot of this in the news, all right? And what, this is what Esau is trying to get these people in basically on their knees, so that when Esau comes out with the RFID microchip, a lot of these people that are struggling, all right, they're going to comply to Esau's New World Order into taking the RFID microchip, man. This is what's coming down. All right, this is what Esau's coming down with. But nonetheless, that was it to that lesson. Hope it was edifying. I want to give all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, and Shalom.